I'm part of UK Export Finance and I'm a export finance advisor for London West. I'm Archana Singh and I'm here today to inform you what are the services and the products that are available for UK companies who are exporting and are looking to expand their exports with the support of their banks and we as advisors. I've got my colleague's name here because he's going to be presenting tomorrow. So who we are and what we do and how can we support UK companies. So please feel free to put your hands up and ask if you need to know more about any of the products that I speak today. It could get a bit intensive because if you're new to exports and to understand the trade finance and the jargons of the financial world. So do put your hands up and ask any questions at this point. How many companies are...
I'm sorry, can I ask?
Yes.
If I'm exporting over the internet, this doesn't apply to me, does it?
No, but if you do have a bank whom you are dealing with for exports, that's fine if you're exporting through the internet. But you will always have a bank and you will always have an export contract. It's okay. Thank you. Hi. Quick questions over here. How many companies over here or individuals who are already exporting? Good. How many of you all use export credit insurance to secure your exports? What? Okay. So are you aware of export credit insurance? Mitigating your risk? Okay. So we've got a lot of work to do over here. Okay. Who are we? We are UK Export Finance. We are the credit agency of United Kingdom. And we are part of the government. We are under the same Ministry of UK Trade and Investment as UKTI. So we are there available at the UKTI stands today if you need to have a follow-up meeting or a chat with us, and we are happy to support you for that. We have been known in the market as Export Credit Guarantee Department, ECGD, and we've been existing since post-World War I, which is 1919, and the government set up ECGD to support the UK companies, to support their exports and get the economy up and running. Since 2011, as I like to call it, we had a rebirth and we got a new name called as UK Export Finance. So we are here to support companies who are exporting, who are looking to expand their exports and who are looking to take on larger contracts than what they are usually used to. What we do is we don't compete with the private market, we complement the private market. So we work with the UK banks, we act as guarantors to the UK banks, and we work with the UK trade insurance market to complement the insurance market for markets which they are unable to support. You know, we've seen recent times the political movements happening in different markets, for example, Russia, Libya, where the private market is unable to support exports going into those markets because of the political risk. And that's where the UK government can play a role. We can look at insuring those markets. So we would complement the private market and not compete with them. We work on the OECD guidelines and we work on the European guidelines where we would support companies for less than 2 years of contracts. We would support smaller enterprises, medium enterprises, and we would support companies who are getting into the emerging markets and the difficult markets especially. We can support or insure the OECD-rich countries, which is your Europe, US, any of the OECD-rich countries, Australia, New Zealand, only if the contracts are more than 2 years in tenors. But if they are less than 2 years of contracts, then we only support the emerging economies and the other markets. Just a quick flavor of how our support has helped a UK company. I have a video to play here. I also have some case studies towards the end, depending on the time we have, which would be interesting for you to know how our support has helped the UK companies for their growth and has helped companies to win more contracts than what they usually are used to. This is a case study of a company which won a large contract in India with a large company, Reliance Industries, and how they were able to take on this contract other than fulfilling their existing contracts in other economies as well. So it was just a helping hand that they got from their bank and from UK Export Finance to take on this larger contract than what they are usually used to. I don't know what.
Sound isn't
It's
through
okay.
here.
So is he going to do it? It's very difficult on this mic. I don't realize it.
Is there something on here?
This one.
I think it's going up in the
They can't hear.
It's going through the TV rather than the speakers.
Oh, okay.
Um,
But it was earlier going through the speakers, right?
if I can get someone else to come down, I'll
Yeah.
try and...
Yeah. I think there's a problem with the speakers. The organizers are looking into it. Maybe I can play it at a later stage. Where does UK Export Finance stand? You know, we've just prepared this slide to just demonstrate where we stand in the market today and how we can support and what we support. So we actually are in the center, as the heart, as we call, for exports. What we do is we support the UK banks by acting as a guarantor so that they can support you, the companies, to export more. We support you as the exporter, not only for the financial bit, but also for the other trade finance world where you will not, maybe we educate you how to secure your payments. What is the other means of raising finance? Not just the traditional way of raising finance of term loans and commercial borrowings. We also, what we do is we support overseas buyers. So we've got products which we can support the overseas buyer for larger contracts, capital goods and service contracts, infrastructure contracts. So large projects where you as a UK company can take the financing to the overseas buyer to win a contract and say, my government is here to support you. You can pay my government after 5 or 10 or 15 years. But I as a UK company would get paid in the next 6 to 8 months or 1 year's time. And what we do is we act as a guarantor to the banks for the financial guarantee, which is for working capital, as well as for the bond support schemes. And then the insurance one, we insure the overseas buyer for non-payment risk, and we insure the overseas buyer's market as well. So this is what our role in exports for the UK economy stands at. Who can we support? And my main question to ask you whether you export is just to understand where you would fit into this criteria, the eligibility criteria. So as long as you are a UK registered firm, as long as there is an international contract signed with a UK company and an overseas buyer, as long as you are exporting goods and services, it doesn't matter if you're not exporting just physical goods, but if you're in the education sector, into IT sector, you would export services as well. As long as there are credit terms that the overseas buyer is saying, I will pay you in 90 days, I will pay you in 30 days, or whatever those credit terms are. We can support smaller as well as larger contracts. Until 2011, people thought we would only support big contracts of 100 millions. But today we can support contracts as low as 10,000 and 20,000 and 25,000 as well. And the larger amount is, it could be anything really. The other eligibility criteria which stands here is because we are a government, we are supporting the UK economy, we need to see at least a minimum 20% UK content. I will be talking a bit more on that. So as long as there is 80% foreign contact, but minimum 20% UK content, we can support as UK Export Finance. A little bit detail on the eligibility criteria. There, as I said, there has to be an underlying commercial contract between a UK company and an overseas buyer. Now, there are times where the law of the overseas market always wants you to have a subsidiary set up over there or a branch set up over there. As long as the contract or the content comes back into the UK, whether you are a subsidiary or a branch, there is some work which happens from the UK. There are people going from the UK. The profits are coming back into the UK. It would be calculated as UK content. The minimum 20% content, as I said, export contract should include 20% UK content. What we do is we take a export credit risk and a credit risk on the UK exporter, not on the UK buyer at this time for our short-term products. So we would look at you as a company, we would look at your financials, and we would decide, yes, this is the kind of company we would like to support, and then we would guarantee the bank. There is no minimum or maximum, as I explained earlier, and we work closely with banks and we work closely with trade insurance brokers in this market. As an advisor, it doesn't matter if your bank is unable to support you for your first contract. What we do is, as an advisor, we also work with private market companies, alternative trade finance companies. These are companies who are there to support you if your banks are not able to support you. There is one example I can see outside, which is Merchant Trade Finance, MTF. They are private market financiers. So if your bank is unable to support you because you are a small company today and they cannot take the risk on you, we have a list of companies who work with us or who have shown us what they can do to help you. We will guide you in the right direction. We will also guide you to other government fundings, other local enterprise fundings which are available for you companies, which you are not aware of. So one of our remit is to make you aware of what are the other kind of fundings which are available as well. I've just spoken about this. We work with finance providers, we work with credit insurers, insurance brokers, and with other trade support bodies. Like you have London Chambers of Commerce here. You have different countries' business councils over here, like a China-Britain Business Council, a Middle East Association, or a UK-India Business Council. So we would make you aware of these kind of associations if you're planning to enter the new markets. And of course, the most important thing is we work with UK Trade and Investment. So we work hand in glove. So we would help you to think about expanding into new markets and get you introduced to the right international trade advisors as well. So our remit is not just to tell you what UKEF can support you in terms of their products, but also how you can take advantage of our services to guide you into the right direction. We spoke a bit about our products. So we work on two verticals. We work on the financial vertical and we work on the insurance vertical. The financial vertical, we work with the banks. So I cannot lend money direct to you. The bank will lend money to you, but we will act as a guarantor over there. So we have three products. One is the bond support scheme, second is a working capital scheme, and the third is a letter of credit guarantee scheme. I won't go much into detail on these things, but I will cover a bit of that in the next slide. Insurance policies, we do bond insurances, bonds that you issue into international markets. We do export credit insurance to insure your contract and your payment risk, and we do letter of credit insurance as well. Again, I spoke about money lent to your overseas buyers. So we do have some products, but only when you have a requirement, at least you know we are there and you can start talking to us, because this can be very intense. So I'm just touching upon it, that we can lend to the overseas buyer if you are into infrastructure kind of projects, if you are into oil and gas, energy, the long-term projects. That is where these products come into play. Where does our support fit in? Where it is insurance, if it is a bond insurance, we can insure almost 100% of the bond value. It is the bond support and the working capital support, we can support UK companies for those individual contracts for up to 80%. So we act as a guarantee up to 80% to the UK banks. Export credit insurance policy, we can cover 95% of the export contract. So if your contract is for 100,000, we can support or we can insure 95,000 of the export contract for non-payment risk and for political risk. Letter of credit guarantee scheme, we can support up to 95%. And the rest overseas buyer schemes, we can support up to 85%. A quick example, because this could sound very overwhelming to a few of you all. Quick example how this would fit into when you win a contract. Just for example, if you win an overseas contract, say with Dubai, for £1 million today, or you're thinking of getting into that contract, what is the process that really happens? So you've gone with UK Trade and Investment on a trade mission. You meet a buyer. The buyer likes your product and says, yes, I would like to buy this product. Can you bid for this? I'm going to bring a tender out and you need to bid for it. So there will be 5 other exporters from the UK who might be bidding for it. So what would be the first requirement? The buyer will ask you to put up a bid bond. A bid bond, what does a bid bond do? A bid bond actually tells the buyer that you're interested to bid for this contract, and that is why he will ask you to put that bond. Usually the bond is 5 to 7%. So you will need a bond to the value of 50,000, 5% of 1 million. Yes? Post that you might win the contract, the buyer will say, okay, now you've won the contract, will you be able to perform? Because I just have 6 months for you to perform on this contract. I need a performance bond. So the buyer is tying you into that contract. So that could be approximately maybe 10% or 15% as well. And usually for the Middle East, this is very common, bid bonds and performance bonds. So you might need another 10K. So you already need £150,000 to win that contract. Then comes the negotiation terms with you and the buyer. What payment terms are you going to negotiate with the buyer? Are you going to take advance payment? Because you are a small company, you need money to start doing the work. So you might ask him for an advance payment. What happens then? So you say, okay, 10%, but the buyer says, I will give you the money, but I need a guarantee from you. So that's advance payment guarantee. Again, you will have to go to the bank to issue you the bond. Post that, there may be requirements for a warranty or a retention bond depending on your products. And then you might actually need the working capital to start working on that contract. So what happens? You might need 50% because you need to pay your suppliers, you need to pay your designers. There's a lot of work that you need to do to start working on that contract. And then at the end, you run a risk with the overseas buyer, whether is he going to pay you on time? What happens if a war breaks down? What happens if there is political movement, different political movements start? What if the payment just stops from that country? The government of that country says dollars cannot move out of this country. You know, we've seen it in recent times in Nigeria that has been happening, that the dollar payments cannot move out. So what happens then? An insurance can cover you for that because it is under political insurance. So these are the kind of things you will see in a typical contract when you win with an overseas buyer. Now, those are the kind of guarantees that can be supported by us to your UK banks and to you. So that's just a flavor of showing you where our support comes in. Because for the first 4, where the bonds are there, the bank will mostly ask you for 100% cash upfront. And you as a company do not want to lock your working capital to issue these bonds. And if you can reduce that to 20% as against 100%, that is what our support can come in. How can you access our products? There is no additional fee to you as a UK company or you as an UK exporter. We share the fee with the banks. And the formal application has to come through the banks. Insurance policies, we work with insurance brokers and we work with you as UK companies. So you come directly to us. Again, we do not compete with the private market, we complement the private market here. So only if you are turned down, say for a Russia, you're signing a deal with Russia, the private market can't cover you. Or it's a single buyer you want to insure, the private market cannot cover you. Yes, we can cover you for that. So wherever there are gray areas in the private market, we can cover you for that. Any questions so far before I just move on to maybe one or two case studies? I like to usually use this case study. This was a company with a turnover of 3.4 million and they won a contract in Eritrea which was equivalent to their turnover, which was 3.2 million. Now the company used to work in emerging markets. They used to work in mostly in Rwanda, and they are education service providers, and they provide education equipment as well. As the name suggests, EduTech. So what happened was they won a contract of 3.4 million in Eritrea. They needed to put up a bond, which was for 10%, which was 340,000. They did have that money at that point, but putting up a bond meant they had to lock in that 340,000. So what happens then? They couldn't bid for other contracts. They didn't have the cash flow to start work on the existing contract. And that's where UKTI actually brought this company to us. And in those days, which was in 2012, we used to only support 50%, not 80%. And we went through all their financials, their contracts, we saw the expertise, and we knew that this company had a great potential for growth. We supported them for the bond for 50%. So 340,000, 50% of that we supported, 170,000. And then the bank was so happy that the bank said, okay, we won't take the other 50% as cash. They gave them a credit line. Also, they needed working capital, so we also supported them for working capital 50%. So what happened was, because of our support, they had extra cash with their working capital already with the bank, because they got a separate line of credit for this particular contract. So they could win 2 more contracts in the same jurisdiction. And now, I think by now they would have trebled their turnover. So they keep coming to us now for each of their contracts. So once the relationship starts building, they deliver, their payments are coming in, even we, and the banks may not need us after this because the company is already on their growth and they already have the cash flow that they need. But it was that initial stage of their growth that they came to us. They were already exporting, but they needed to grow more, or they needed to take a larger contract. A household name, Olbasau Oil, GR Lane is the company over here. This is a case study from 2011, and this is when the European downturn started and Greece had their economical issues. GR Lane, they had their, I think up to 1 million was their transactions with one of the buyers in Greece. And they had 1 million of insurance cover on that overseas buyer. What used to happen was they used to have multiple contracts through the year with this buyer. Now, when the downturn started, the private market said they cannot cover 1 million, so they brought the cover down to 750,000. That meant that the business had to be reduced with Greece. Next, in 2012, the private market stopped the cover on Greece, and GR Lane had to stop their business on credit terms with the overseas buyer. So what they did was they started asking for advance payment. That means it was a reputation for their business relationship. That means their contracts were reduced, so their business turnover went down. What happened then was they came to us. So we agreed to insure the Greek market for up to 500,000 for them in those days. And then they could continue with their business as usual with our credit insurance. And it was a turnaround of multiple contracts within the year. So the buyer was happy, the exporter was happy, the turnover increased again. I'm not too sure about Beatrice. Do we have any other things going on here at 2 o'clock? Because I am conscious that we are short of time. The export credit insurance, we would think big names like JCB will not insure their credit risk and political risk, but they do. They insure each and every contract of theirs going into international markets. So they started dealing with a dealer in North Africa.
15 is the next 7 o'clock.
So just 5 more minutes, yeah. So they started dealing with a dealer in North Africa. They didn't want to ask for advance payment because of the market. They wanted to give them credit terms, and the private market could not cover JCB for the specific North African market. So their credit insurance brokers, which is Aon, brought them to us, and we covered them for the North African market, and thereafter for all their transactions in that economy, all the insurance policies are done through us. So JCB, being such a big player in the market, insures their insures their export contracts. So one has to think, when as a small company or a medium-sized company, if you're exporting to international markets and international geographies, you have to look at the risk of the credit lines you're giving, the payment terms, the political risk, the foreign exchange risk, and you have to insure yourself against those risks. And yes.
What is the kind of time scale we end up getting into? I mean, how soon?
For insurances, yeah, okay, yeah, all right, thanks. In terms of the turnaround times for our export insurance policies especially, we have a nice thing what we call as NBI, non-binding indicative pricing. So what happens is, when you're bidding for a contract and you know for sure you want to insure that contract, you fill up a one-pager form. Firstly, you will go to your broker in the market. If the broker says, say suppose it is for Russia, your broker says, no ways I can cover this, nobody will cover. So you come to us, you fill up a non-binding indicative form, which is a one-pager form. Within 48 hours, we will come back to you. We will say we are on cover on Russia, yes, and this could be the premium for it. So what happens in the back of your mind when you're negotiating your terms with your buyer, you will build in that cost, because that cost is on you. Yes? The next is, when you won the contract, immediately you apply for a full application form and you give the payment terms and things like that. As long as we find the details on the buyer pretty quickly through our credit agencies and things like that, we are usually good to turn it around in 2 to 3 weeks maximum. It could be shorter, but 2 to 3 weeks I would say for an insurance policy. Yes? So, and it could be for pre-shipment and post-shipment, or it could be just for the non-payment. Say suppose if you have one invoice which has to be paid after 30 days, you can just insure that one invoice. You don't want to insure the pre-shipment. Yeah? So that's how the insurance policy is. But yes, please feel free to speak to us. We are there if you want to know more about us. Just quick case study over here in Ethiopia. This customer was dealing with the government over there. They do the storage for warehouses, and they were dealing with the Ethiopian government since 2011. It took them 2 years to actually get a contract in hand, and finally when the contract came in hand, the buyer decided to give them a letter of credit for the entire amount. Now they didn't want to take the letter of credit, so there were no other terms of payment which could be agreed. They had to confirm the letter of credit in the UK market, but they could not find any bank in London to confirm the letter of credit, and that's where they came to us. So our product was used very creatively, like we say over here, because we insured the overseas buyer, we insured the overseas market, and we insured the overseas bank who issued the letter of credit. So that was a nice case study over here. So the buyer didn't have to think about the risk at all. We insured the entire risk over there. So we insured the bank, the buyer, and the buyer's country. So and after that, I think the buyer has won 2 more contracts with the exporter has won 2 more contracts with this buyer. We are available. Our contact details are available on our website. We are 24 advisors, regionally based. So whichever part of UK you are in, you can just click on it and find the nearest advisor to you. And my contact details are here available. Yeah, and I believe that there are certain forms. So if you could please fill those up with your comments, and if you would like to know more about us, please. Thank you.